Just resuming there, I don't know what happened there, but just leaving off from the first video. So he played Wimbledon, he did extremely well, he made it to the final against Carlos Alcaraz, and I just think that he needed to be ready for a war that match, and his knee wasn't up for it. And I knew from very, very early in that match that Djokovic's movement was just not there with the knee. So I wasn't particularly surprised that he lost the final in Wimbledon, but was incredibly proud. But again, he had no sympathy at all, and people were just saying, well, that's it. Alcaraz is now taken over. He is now the man to beat, and Djokovic simply can't keep up with him, let alone beat him. So coming into the Olympics this year was huge, really, just because he'd had all of this vilifying, because people thought that he was lying about his surgery, that he was lying about his injury. Even though we've had the person that did the actual surgery comment on the fact that he did, the fact that Djokovic was on crutches, the fact that he decided to withdraw from the French Open when he won it the previous year and got absolutely no reason to withdraw unless there was an injury. But that still didn't stop people from spreading these conspiracy theories that he was injured. So coming into the Olympics this year was really, really important. And what happens to Djokovic when he gets there? He gets one of the toughest draws that he could have asked for, really. He literally had the draw. If it panned out, he would have had the most informed players. The first round match was initially scheduled for Andy Murray, and then Rafael Nadal, and then Arthur Fils, and then Stefan Tsitsipas, and then Alexander Zverev, and then Alcaraz. And if it had panned out that the way that they wanted to, it was one of the most difficult draws that anyone could have handpicked. And then you look at the other side, and Alcaraz has got a very, very straightforward draw. So we know that they were trying to make everything as difficult as possible for Djokovic. So, this Olympics was big. The fact that he was then playing Nadal at Philippe Chatrier, which is like Nadal's home. So even though Nadal isn't the player that he was, he still has that experience and skill and everything that brings with winning 14 titles at Roland Garros. So that was the first big pressure match for Djokovic. There wasn't just the match on the line, there was the head-to-head on the line. So Djokovic was just one ahead of Nadal. So Nadal, who's kind of skipped playing Djokovic conveniently in the last 5 years on hard, but plays him on clay, had a chance to make it 30 apiece in the Grand Slam. So there was a lot on the line, and Djokovic really came out. And if you remember, he won the first set 6-1 and then went 4-0 in the second set. So he absolutely destroyed Nadal, winning 10 of the first 11 games on clay at Nadal's most favourite and most successful court of all time. And he came through that. He then had to battle through the rest of the matches. Obviously, most people remember the Tsitsipas match because he had another fall, and he kind of held his knee, and it looked as though it was the same injury that he had against Cerundolo in the Roland Garros. So there was a lot of anxiety, concern. We've had all the woke BS going out in the Olympics with the mocking Christianity, and with every match, Djokovic was making sure that his cross was shown proudly, as it should be, to the whole world. And pretty much every interview that he did, he was saying he doesn't know how he's getting through these matches, and it's God that's helping him. And he had no issues in kind of reiterating that point, and he knows what he's doing. Djokovic is a very, very clever guy, and he believes 100% that everything that happens for a reason, and he knows that everything that he has done and accomplished is through the grace of God. And he wasn't embarrassed to kind of not mention that publicly, which I think is something that, you know, I'm so incredibly proud of, because, you know, he always stays true to himself. So, you know, he gets to the final, and now Djokovic is like a 3-1 shot to beat Alcaraz. This is the highest price he's ever been. You know, pretty much every single pundit is saying Alcaraz is going to beat him. He's too good for him. You know, Djokovic's time is up, and you know, Alcaraz is going to breeze it. A lot of people were saying that Alcaraz is going to win. It's you know, it's a given, but they also thought that it wasn't going to be particularly competitive. So many people were saying Alcaraz is going to win it in straights. And I think Alcaraz himself got a little bit carried away with his performance at Wimbledon, where he completely destroyed, you know, Djokovic. I was there, and you know, it was a different league. You know, Alcaraz was almost unplayable that match, and you know, Djokovic was way off his best. But you know, to replicate that match just a few weeks later, you know, it's understandable why he then got a little bit carried away, I think. And you know, after he won the semi-final, he said, I'm going to bring the gold back for Spain, and you know, finals are there to be won, and you know, I'm confident in winning, which, you know, which is fair enough. But I think that gave Djokovic a little bit of motivation, because Djokovic and Alcaraz have got a great relationship. There's a mutual respect there. But that comment was then kind of reiterated to Novak in one of the press conferences to say, well, Alcaraz has said he's going to bring you know, the gold back for Spain. What do you think about that? And Djokovic just said, you know, I'm playing better and moving better than Wimbledon, so let's see. You know, he wasn't cocky, because he knew he was beaten very soundly by Alcaraz. So, you know, but deep down he knew he was playing well, and that's kind of why I had a lot of confidence, because I was saying, just reading between the lines, his body language was good. It's been good all through the camp. It's been positive. And you know, he was confident of his ability. And then, you know, obviously the match transpired, and the first set, just under 1 hour 40 minutes, was probably the greatest single set of tennis that I've seen, definitely this year, and probably for many years. Some of the rallies from both players were incredible. You know, both were playing at a high level. And you know, Djokovic was fighting for every ball. Alcaraz was doing what he does and just hitting huge shots, but Djokovic was moving well to them this time. He was pushing Alcaraz back. It was a game of chess, and you know, there was 12 service holds, which is quite unusual on clay. You know, particularly Djokovic and Alcaraz, none of them are you know, serve bots. So you know, to have 12 service holds just kind of says, you know, the standard was that close, that it just came to the service points, giving you an extra 1 or 2 point with 3 points in the serves that made the difference. And then Djokovic dialed in and locked in. I think it was 3-all in the tie break, and then Djokovic does what he does in the tie break, and he just doesn't miss. And you know, he put the pressure on Alcaraz. The second set then was just as tight. You know, again, no breaks of serve at all. So we've had 2 sets of tennis, not a single break of serve. Goes to the tie break again. Djokovic starts off early with, you know, a 2-0 lead. Alcaraz pulls it back to 2-all, and then Djokovic just puts his foot on the pedal, and Alcaraz couldn't live with it. He really couldn't live with it, which was, you know, great for us to, as an old fan, to see, as a 37-year-old, you know, pushing this 21-year-old talented kid. Alcaraz, a phenomenal player, and Djokovic still able to hold all the shots, was simply phenomenal. And you know, the scenes that we saw afterwards were a reflection of what Djokovic had you know, gone through in the last few weeks and months, and it was a release of tension and emotion, and it was great to see. And obviously we've seen through the course of this evening the mass celebrations. You know, it means so much for him, it means so much for Serbians. You know, an Olympic gold medal. Djokovic completes his CV in tennis. You know, we already know he's the greatest of all time, but obviously this is now beyond any doubt at all. So absolutely thrilled. You know, there's so many things that are important in this victory. I mean, first of all, you know, so many people saying Alcaraz and Djokovic are in a different league. Djokovic has now beaten Alcaraz 3 of the last 4 meetings. So in the last 12 months, they've met 4 times. Djokovic has beaten him 3 times out of those 4. The only one that he lost was in Wimbledon, where I think it was too much for his knee as well. So you can say that the only one that he lost was when Djokovic clearly wasn't fully fit. So that is massive, really, because Alcaraz at the moment is playing lights out tennis, and Djokovic at 37 can still kind of not only compete but can still beat these players is a huge thing. So that in itself is just phenomenal. And then just silencing the haters, so many pundits who are now pretending to be his friends and congratulating him. They've been exposed for who they are with their false narratives and misinformation over the years. And obviously I called out Andy Roddick a few times because I felt he was being disingenuous with Novak. I always felt that he didn't give him fair press, but now, because he's been exposed and because so many people have seen that he was kind of almost being quite mean and not very positive about Djokovic, he is then now saying, actually, Djokovic, yeah, you're the man, and the same with Renee Stubbs. So it's important to call people out for when they are not being fair to Djokovic, and to call out biases, because it means that there's more scrutiny on them in the future, and it means they're more likely to be fair. And that's what we're seeing with Renee Stubbs and Roddick now, who are very complimentary now to Djokovic because they know they're being scrutinised. So that is phenomenal. I just needed to mention as well that I thought BBC, who were promoting the match as much as anything, and as they would, it's 2 of the world's best players going head to head for a historic Olympic gold, and they showed the first set, and obviously Djokovic won, and then they turned away and went off to shooting, which shooting in the UK is probably watched by maybe less than 1% of the population, and tennis is the top 5 most popular sport in the UK, and they turned away from that final to shooting. And it was someone, a journalist that's worked for the BBC, I'm not going to mention any names obviously, but they said that if that was Alcaraz winning, they would never have switched the channels or stopped coverage of that, because it falls in line with their propaganda of kind of, oh, look at Alcaraz, he's the new guy, Djokovic is done and dusted. The fact that Djokovic was playing so well and winning the match, they've decided to take that off transmission because they don't want to see that narrative, and they don't want people to know the truth. And that's how the BBC work, both politically and also in sport, which are now intertwined, as we know, through various numerous rants and bits of stuff that I put on Twitter, kind of explaining that. But that's for another video. Today really was just all about Novak Djokovic. He's delighted, his family is delighted, his fans are delighted, his country is delighted. He's put a smile on so many people's faces, and this year has been, it's been a little bit tough for the Noel fan. We've become accustomed to success in the last few years, and this year it's taken a little bit longer, but it's so much sweeter, and really genuinely, for me, I couldn't care less if Djokovic loses every game now for the rest of the season. I think he's done what he set out to do. I'm absolutely thrilled. I've had loads of DMs from people saying, do you think he will retire or not? I don't think so. I think, Djokovic, if you've listened to him in the last few months, has always said that whilst he's still competitive, he has got no reason to leave the game, because he enjoys the fight, he enjoys the battle. So I don't personally think he will retire. I mean, some people think, yeah, he could retire on the top, which, is understandable, and some people have done that. He's won everything. Has he got motivation to continue? But I don't think he's going to go that way. He's already signed up to play for in China and Asia in the swing this year. I think he will now get some rest and then prepare for the US Open. And then, obviously then that will lead into the Asian swing and then the World Tour finals. I don't know if he's going to play Paris Masters this year or what, but I don't think he will retire. But if he does, then there's no better way to kind of do it on that. But I genuinely don't think he does. I think he's mentioned to us time and time again that he's really enjoys the fight, and yes, he's not going to play as many tournaments as he does in previous years. He's going to focus on Grand Slams and a couple of Masters, but that will suit us just absolutely fine. So Novak, if you're listening, just huge congratulations, man. I know how much this meant to you. It meant a lot to us as well as your fans, and I'm so thrilled that you did so, and did so emphatically, to get through that draw and not even lose a single set when you've got ongoing issues with your knee was just a phenomenal effort. So my heartfelt love and pride for you and for Serbia. Just absolutely delighted, and yeah, just for the rest of the Noel fam, just it's important that we enjoy the moment. Days like this don't come along too often, especially in the Olympics every 4 years, and it's something that I know we've all wanted Djokovic to kind of tick off on that CV, and we will go down in history now as a player who's won absolutely everything. So enjoy the moment, ignore the haters. The haters haven't really got anything to go on now. Before they were saying Djokovic hasn't beaten any top 10 players. He then beat Tsitsipas. Then they were saying he can't beat any of the top 5 players. He's now beaten Alcaraz. They were saying that he hasn't won any titles this year. He's now won the Olympic gold. So, they're going to run out of things to hate on, which is brilliant. So keep doing what you're doing, guys, and thanks for everyone for your support. And it's very surreal just seeing me trend in Serbia and other places, and so thank you for all those that support me, and also the haters that keep me motivated. So yeah, big congratulations to Novak, Jelena, all the family, all the team, and a big congratulations to us, the Noel fam. We did it. We're back. He's back. Olympic gold medal. Get in the ball.